Our world may seem normal from the outside, but in reality, there are dangerous beings that influence our day-to-day life choices. Free will doesn't exist. There are witches that can push you towards your darker emotions, which can make you commit crimes, become depressed, and even try something unthinkable. To fight these evil witches, there are magical girls who, in contrast, bring hope and positive emotions to humans. Young girls are chosen by a mysterious astral cat who offers them a proposition that he will grant any one of their wishes in exchange to serve their lives as magical girls. Little that they know, everything is not like what it seems. In the city of Mitakihara, Madoka, a timid girl, lives with her house husband dad and super cool businesswoman mom. Madoka desires to be like her mother because in school and in life, she is just a mediocre girl with no talent whatsoever. Madoka also has two best friends with whom she spends most of her time in school, Sayaka and Hitomi. These three girls talk about normal teenager stuff like love and boys and spending time. Honestly, so far, Madoka's life is nothing short of mediocre, but that is all about to change. One day in school, a mysterious girl named Homura Akemi transfers to their school. The girl is super sus and keeps eyeing Madoka throughout the class. Just as the class ends, Akemi approaches Madoka and asks her to take her to the nurse's office. Madoka is super confused, as even though Akemi asked her to be her guide, she knows the direction herself. Akemi makes Madoka follow her until they are alone, and out of nowhere, she tells Madoka that if she wants her life to remain the same and her loved ones to remain safe, she should enjoy her own life and not wish for more things. Madoka immediately tells her friends how weird Akemi was just then, but the friends tell her to just ignore her. There were a lot of weird people in the world, and there was just not enough time. Madoka and Sayaka then decide to head to the music shop to buy some CDs. As the two browse through some really cool classical music, Madoka suddenly hears someone calling out her name. The voice is desperately pleading with her for help. If this was a horror movie, I'd suggest Madoka run away immediately. But here, Madoka rushes to the voice instead. Madoka finds herself at the top of the building, which seems to be abandoned. Suddenly, from out of nowhere, a weird-looking cat falls to the floor injured. The cat seems to be injured and asks for her help. She was being pursued by none other than Akemi. The mysterious girl wanted the cat dead and demands Madoka hand it over. Sayaka comes in to save them and distracts Akemi. As the two girls run away, suddenly the world around them starts to distort, like the multiverse of madness, but significantly better. The two girls are transported into a weird world of tacky animation and incohesive art styles. As the two girls are dumbfounded about what to do, another girl approaches them, explaining that she was friends with the weird cat. She was also a senior from their school and is amused to see that the cat had called for Madoka. The girl then uses a weird egg-like thing to transform into another dress, just like a Power Ranger. The girl Mami Tomoe turns out to be a magical girl, as she explains. She pulls out a huge gun from under her skirt and blasts the girls out of the weird Doctor Strange-esque dimension. Mami then proceeds to heal the cat back to health as Akemi leaves the girls alone. The cat then introduces itself as Kyubey, a cat with mysterious powers. Kyubey then explains the whole situation that had just happened a few moments ago. Akemi and Mami are actually magical girls who have received powers after creating a contract with Kyubey. These magical girls had received one wish for themselves, which Kyubey had granted, and, in return, they were tasked with hunting down witches that lived in the world. He explains that witches are evil beings that bring about despair and misery in the world. They bring negative energy around the people that they curse, causing them to go as far as ending their own lives. The witches usually create weird dimensions in which they hide and control the people they curse. Kyubey offers the two girls the opportunity to become magical girls, and while fulfilling their wishes, also save people at the same time. He offers them a chance to become superheroes. While the opportunity seems a bit too exciting to pass on, it seems a bit sus at the same moment as well. So, the girls decide that they will take their time to make their decision. Mami then decides to show them how cool it was to become a magical being like her. She follows the two girls around the next day, explaining the atrocities that the witches cause on a daily basis and how it was an honor to fight them and save humankind. The egg-like thing was actually a soul gem, the source of Magical Girl's power, and also the device that gave them the ability to transform and have pretty dresses, but that's besides the point. It can also help them track down witches in the area. As they talk, Mami's gem starts glowing, and she realizes that a witch was nearby. The three of them quickly rush to the area and find that a cursed woman was about to commit the unthinkable and throw herself off the building. Mami saves her just in time and heads into the building. Immediately, she is dragged along with the girls into another one of those weird dimensions. Here, for the first time, the girls witness their first ever witch. It's a weird-looking creature that is nothing like the fantasy witches that we all know and hate. Mami pulls out a huge gun from her skirt once again and obliterates the witch once and for all. In the aftermath of the battle, the dimension fades and she gets a similar to hers but dark egg from the witch. This is a gem similar to the soul gem for the magical girls, which is called the grief seeds. Mami explains that these seeds are used by the magical girls to replenish their powers after the battles. For some witches, these seeds are the only things that drive them to work rather than saving people. Once again, Akemi arrives out of nowhere. Perhaps her powers are to control space in some way, but it's still unclear. She suggests Madoka save herself and not take up the contract from Kyubey. Madoka, however, doesn't want to concern herself with others' opinions and wants to make the decision herself. Sayaka, on the other hand, is in love with her childhood friend Kyosuke, who was in an accident years ago and has been paralyzed from the waist down. She believes that if she does the contract, perhaps she can save the boy and help him heal. However, she too is still unsure of what she wants to do. The next day, as Sayaka and Madoka are walking around town, they notice that a curse has appeared in the local shop. Sayaka decides to pursue the witch, while Madoka goes to call Mami for her aid. Madoka and Mami arrive at the weird dimension created by the witch, but they realize that Akemi has followed them as well. She demands to take down the witch herself, but Mami restrains her and tells her not to interfere. Akemi tries to tell her that the witch was not going to be easy to deal with, but Mami goes into battle regardless of the warning. As Akemi had told earlier, the witch turns out to be quite the challenge, and since she was so overconfident in her abilities, Mami is quickly faced with a danger that she had never experienced before. Right before Sayaka and Madoka, Mami is slaughtered by the witch and eaten alive. With Mami gone, her magic wears out and Akemi is removed from the restraints. She quickly goes to save the girls, and somehow she appears to be more powerful than Mami and is able to defeat the witch easily. She then reveals the harsh reality of the whole magical girls. Once they perished, not only did their bodies die, it wasn't even returned back to the real world, and so they would remain lost girls for the rest of the world, never to be found. Sayaka and Madoka are both distraught after witnessing the cruel death of Mami. They decide that perhaps it's best to stay normal and not get mixed up with all of the magic and witches nonsense. Sayaka goes to visit Kyosuke once again and realizes that his condition has worsened from earlier, and he can no longer even feel the upper part of his body. Madoka, on the other hand, goes around town hoping to clear her mind, when she suddenly notices that Hitomi had a curse mark on her neck. She seems to be out of her mind and tells Madoka that she was heading to a place that would bring her eternal happiness. Fearing the worst for her friend, Madoka follows her around and sees that a lot of people with curse marks had gathered at a place to burn themselves. She tries to help the people, but is immediately transported into the witch's distorted world and trapped there. Just as she is about to be slaughtered, a new magical girl approaches the area. It was Sayaka. She had apparently taken up the contract so that she could save Kyosuke. Sayaka uses her new powers to destroy the witch and claims her grief seed, saving her two best friends from danger. Some days pass, and soon another magical girl appears in the city of Mitakihara. Her name is Kyoko, and she is one of the magical girls who only care about the grief seeds that can help her gain more power. One day, as Sayaka is pursuing what she believes to be a witch, she is stopped by Kyoko, who explains that the entity was still a familiar, lower-level witch that wouldn't drop a grief seed. She tells Sayaka that she should let the familiar kill a few people before she hunts it down. It was common knowledge like the ecosystem. Witches preyed on humans, and the magical girls preyed on the witches and their grief seeds. Sayaka, however, refuses her ideology, and the two decide to fight it out. Madoka is scared and doesn't want them to fight. Kyubey tells her that she could take the contract and stop them from using her power. The weird cat seems a bit too sus. Why is he pushing her to take the offer? Anyways, Akemi arrives in time to stop the two from fighting. Their beef, however, wasn't finished. A few days later, Kyoko and Sayaka meet once more, and once again, they decide to fight to settle their differences once and for all. Just as Kyoko pulls out her soul gem to transform, Madoka, not wanting her friend to fight, snatches away the gem and throws it into a traveling truck nearby. As soon as the gem is driven away in the truck, Kyoko immediately falls down. She was dead. Kyoko and Madoka are both scared at what had happened and demand Kyubey to reveal what the hell was happening. The cat then reveals that the soul gems used by magical girls are their actual souls, extracted from their bodies by Kyubey after forging the contract. Kyubey describes the process as turning their bodies into mere hardware controlled by their soul gems, which are usually kept close to them at all times and allows their bodies to better endure the hardship of battle. With the soul gem holding their souls, they couldn't feel pain or any form of injury. The destruction of the soul gem also means permanent death for a magical girl, and they must locate grief seeds from defeated witches or risk running out of magic and being unable to maintain their bodies. Kyoko is distraught to know that their lives were turned into mere zombies because of the contract and demands Kyubey to say why he didn't reveal this before the contract. The girls think that this is outrageous. Kyubey expresses flat confusion at their reactions, reasoning that the contract is fair and the process is logically sound. They get the power, he gets to control their entire lives. Doesn't seem so fair, to be honest. Akemi pursues the truck and manages to bring back Sayaka's soul gem, and she comes back to life. She also realizes the truth about her real life now. Sayaka starts getting depressed and thinks that she has ruined her life. Nothing mattered if she was a mere puppet to the duties that she forced onto herself. To top off all of her misery, Kyosuke comes to school all healed up, and her best friend Hitomi reveals that she was in love with the man and would reveal her feelings to Kyosuke if she didn't. Naturally, Sayaka is too saddened to do anything about it at the moment, and so Hitomi does as she says and reveals her feelings to Kyosuke, who also reciprocates it back. All this time, Sayaka had looked after him and even used her wish to heal him, only for him to break her heart. Sayaka is miserable. Madoka realizes this and feels really bad for her friend. She thinks that, perhaps with the wish, she could help her friend recover from her misery and decides to make the contract with Kyubey. However, once again, just before the contract is made, Akemi arrives and this time manages to shoot and kill Kyubey right before Madoka. With tears in her eyes, Akemi pleads with Madoka not to sacrifice herself for others, as there were people who cared for her well-being as well. Madoka runs away perplexed, and from the shadows, once again another Kyubey arrives. He has now found out the source of Akemi's power. She wasn't just a magical girl, she was a magical girl from another dimension, with the power to alter time itself. On the other hand, Kyoko goes to meet with Sayaka, who now agrees with her ideologies. It didn't matter how many people died as long as they got the grief seeds. The darkness in Sayaka starts consuming her, and her soul gem suddenly breaks, revealing that it was now a grief seed. She had become a witch. This was a fate that all of the magical girls shared. At the end of their lives, they all became witches. If this video gets 2,000 likes, I will continue to part 2. Thanks for watching part 1. See you on the next one.